to the first lecture of today's Limina Festival. Today we have Katarina Gryvul, who is also our guest artist and curates the concert tonight. So please also join the concert in the evening. And also stay for the next two lectures, one at 12 and one at 2 o'clock. So I give the stage to Katarina.
Hi everyone. Today, as this is the title, we'll talk about holophony, but more, I think, we won't stop very long what is in the art of Panayiotis Kokoras, but mostly I will talk about my music and the role of holophony in my vision of music. So first we will start, I will introduce myself. Basically, as you see, I try to be not super serious, at least with this presentation. Well, I'm a composer, violinist, music producer, educator and founder of Gryvul school, where I'm teaching mostly music production, arrangement, composition and different things. Yeah, so it's kind of private school and people there with very different experience. So basically I will tell a few more words about how I get to the music and get to composing. I think it's always interesting to know these things. So basically I'm a professional violinist. I finished Master of Violin, and after that I realized that I'm missing something more, and I studied acoustic composition. Actually with Sarah I have a first my ever master classes in Lviv. It's quite a nice memory, but usually for me the relationship with the sound was always special, especially when I was playing violin, of course, because you kind of practicing very lot of hours to have particular sound palette or this exactly timbre. So I think it's very influenced my way of composing nowadays and kind of put my direction to holophony basically. But let's talk what it is. So basically first who was start to talk about holophony is Panayiotis Kokoras. He told actually there is another word of holophony, but it's more relative to sound technology, like close to binaural kind of thing, but not exactly. So as you see, Panayiotis Kokoras talking about holophony like next stage after monophony, polyphony, homophony. So basically what is in a practice, so multiple sound streams, it can be instruments, I don't know, electronic sound, object sound, they emerge in something one where they kind of lose identity in a way and become like one holistic sound texture. So if I would say very simply about that. So what is important, what is principle or core principle of holophony? It's granularity. I think you all of know about that, but it's detail, fine grain kind of way of thinking. Even it's not even as a technique, but a way of thinking about the sound. A lot of detail of micro gesture of a sound, but also in a term of huge timbre sound palette. I mean, a core, it's a melting this kind of sound in something one. Second, and density. So it's actually overlapping of sound components and density of a sound palette. Right, let's go further. Timbre similarity, so we basically blend different timbres of different sources together to have something similar in something one. Right, space singularity. So very often spatial thinking becoming the core, and for example it can affect way of composing, way of putting different elements in a space. So it's very important, especially also with this kind of sound texture in a space, how you combine and what kind of layers you put where. So it's one of very important things. sound continuity, gestural nonlinear form. So basically here it's very important morphing of the sound as I think in a musical form it's one of the core things that we kind of this transition from a different texture of the sound. Yes, and yes, rejection of traditional kind of understanding of rhythm, pitch, harmony, hierarchy. Of course, it's more like irregular, I would say, kind of things, unexpected. Yes. So if it's very shortly telling what is holophonic enough. So what it offer first, this offer blurring boundaries between acoustic, electronic and found sound, which is nowadays very important. I think that we need to be very transparent to different kind of art fields, especially to be multidisciplinary. I'm sorry. Artist, because if you will focus very much in one just direction, I feel already it's not enough, at least in the mind point of view. Another thing, encourage new listening habits. So basically, as a listener, now more focus to, I would say, the quality of a sound, the closeness of the sound, the texture of a sound, not something else. So I think here plays a big role as a kind of aesthetic, in a way of sound mixing as well, elements. So basically even, I don't know, amplified instrumental music and just all of sound, it's very close to ASMR aesthetic. I feel very good, very obvious connection with that. Yes. Immersive soundscapes, of course, that everything moving around, and nowadays I feel like if especially we are working with electronic music, it's important to have 3D kind of space, or rather binaural mixing. With Dolby Atmos, many things like you can listen at home, multi-channel things. So it's one of the core things nowadays in, I think. Bridge composition, sound design, electroacoustic experimentation. So basically it's kind of combined very different fields of music, and I think it's very often open to people without professional music education as well, because especially sound designers, they have very close relationship with the timbre and sound, morphic and so on. So I think this kind of holophonic approach, it's very common also to non-professional musicians nowadays. So I don't know, I show you maybe some a bit example of Panayiotis Kokoras music, a little bit that you just hear his like as he's as father. Let's tell him of this thing. Let's listen what he proposed. So as you see, Panayiotis Kokoras use instruments in that way it's hard to tell which one play what, and it's kind of hard to tell, like they so blend in a timbre and in a pitch as well, that it's like if you listen with the closed eyes, for me very hard to tell actually who play what. And that's the main kind of core thing in this style. And another thing which is very important also for my practice as well, that when I see the instrument, it wasn't obvious the sound of this particular instrument, so that I usually, that I don't have a direct association of a sound and instrument. So this is, especially it's very important in my way, I think, in electronic music, to not use in your practice timbres which have sound quality of this instrument, and how this instrument can mimic a kind of strange human untypical voice in a way which hard very to produce with the singers, for example, right? So it's yes, so basically what's my concept of the sound, it's based on holophonic approach, but I think a little bit different. I went in a little bit different direction. First of all, sound as an individual entity, so each sound for me like a small living organism, and basically, especially in the space of dramatization and movement, depend of relationship with another sound. So it's kind of, I try to build, at least in my head, a small universe with different sound hierarchy and things, and basically very often the timbre also affect a gesture, so the movement and so on. So yeah, it's very a lot of things happening there. Another thing, micro detailing. So basically, I like a micro gesture, micro rhythm, shifting, small morphing, different automatization or very small effect, which like together make something bigger, more complex. Yes, we will listen to my piece, will be easier to understand. So conceptual layering, basically, for me, concept is very important. Because of the concept, I usually choose a timbre palette, maybe composition form and other things. So in this piece, which we were listening, I have some notes because I don't remember the names of these terms. So first it's alexithymia. It's a psychological state marked when you cannot recognize emotions, human, like it's you cannot read them, and you also not recognize your own emotions. So basically in a society you cannot very interact because of that. And another one, it's called auditory agnosia. It's when you have normal hearing, but your brain cannot translate it to the information. You don't understand like some sounds, some in some cases can be even language and things. So despite you kind of normal hearing, you cannot function in society as well. Another my conception where it was like recently prosopagnosia. It's a disease when you cannot recognize the faces of people at all, and even later your own is different kind of state of this disease. Another piece was also concept when you have a fear of fragmentation of your body, because before some age, I think before like 1 year old, when we formed, we have the state of fear of fragmentation. We don't feel like our body belong to us, especially it's also mother-kid thing, because when kids just arrived, can't understand that mother is a different body or different organism. It's very often feel like it's a one united thing. So this kind of also fear of I forgot this word, I'm sorry, but you understood, I think, becomes when you not right formed. And in we have a lot of this kind of things, and I very interested in psychology and how our brain work and affect, yes, especially in a social aspect. Yes, so it's big influence to my stuff. Another thing, hybrid and creature inspired sound. Here I need to tell, I always was out of classical environment in a way. When I was a violinist, I was playing a lot of jazz and klezmer. I kind of felt I never fit very much in this society. Later with composition, I was working a lot in game industry. I was making sound design and music to video games. And I think because of that, also it's very influenced my composition. I very often have this creature sound inspiration. Yes, you will hear it very clearly. And the same wanted to add, now I have a different kind of project with more experimental vocal thing. It's like experimental pop, so it's also completely not classical, I think. So I feeling all the life I just in between of something and never belong anywhere. It's interesting feeling, because then you're kind of very free. That's, I think, I very lucky, because I always was very free with composition. I never have any borders, I was doing what I want, without any limitation. So I think it's where I ended up naturally through my practice. Of course, sound specialization very important for me as well, especially with this piece. So this piece was made for ensemble Hanatsu Mirror, for this organum made by Aurel Manuel. It's his brother. So it's a piece, we can look to the score, maybe it will be better. And then I will play it. So basically it's a piece Alienated, which I told about this disease of this psychological disease, if I could tell, or state, alexithymia. And yeah, so because of that, basically I have 8 channel. I have bass flute, cello, percussion, double bass, contrabass, clarinet, and here we have this organum which has different kind of section, and each of them sound a little bit different, and it was triggering by MIDI, and also you could change intensity of the air. So when I was using very little bit kind of air, the organ became very like human voices in a way, and very unpitched kind of sound. So I really like this quality. So basically very often it's hard to understand who is playing what, because of also specialization. Each time each instrument or sound go from different speakers, so we cannot map that somebody will always play, like it's very chaotic, and you cannot understand who plays what basically. But of course on the stage you hear them acoustically, so it's a kind of something visible. I always have a separate project with live electronics, this MIDI part, here also a tape, which I never include in a score. You will ask why. Because I don't feel that I want that my pieces were performed multiple times. I like the concept that it just exists for this ensemble and maybe 1-2 times and that's it. I don't wanna that they live through that time, and not very like to that they played by other ensembles, because very often I have this very specific relationship with ensemble which I writing for. It's one thing. Another thing, I like to have a music in this present moment, because I would say like some previous work not very showing who I am now, because it's my vision very changing and I cannot really be close with this previous work in a way. So I don't know, I like this conception of the moment, and yeah, so I don't mind if in the future it won't be possible or somehow to play them or something, like I want that. I think. So yes, so basically we have here some history. Yeah, with percussion I use very nice, like some kind of French whistling birdie toys, which I really like how they sound. Some CD, Super Bowls, right? Yes, different things. Yeah, nothing here is that special. Yeah, so I think I would like that we listen without score, because I would like that you more focus to the timbre and how it sound, because we also don't have here organ part and stuff. I don't think it will be, and fixed media, yes, very helpful. Yes, we will go here. Yeah, let's listen. Another thing which I wanna add. Before I never was adding any harmonical or melodical elements to my music, and recently I start to blend them. Yes, it's kind of a bit unexpected even for me. Because before I was like never ever, but now I kind of like this thing in a combination. So here you will find something. I feel because I have this another project very strongly based on melodical harmonical approach, it's influenced my composition as well. So yes, it was premiered this year in Radio France with Hanatsu Mirror Ensemble. It's stereo version. Mostly like and also high pitched toy stuff. It's organo like different blocks, some of them wooden, some of them metal, and it's very huge variety of the sound, and mostly of them it's hard to recognize. Some of the speech notes of course you can, but very close it's to human voice, to this kind of, I don't know, it was so fun to work with it. And because of I could also put some object on a pipes on the top, and it can produce another sound as well, and very nice here, not hearable in a recording, but when it works in the end, this culmination phase, it's very fast MIDI, and it's like really shaking and have this very low pitch sound and very feelable yeah, because it was amplified, of course, as all of blocks, and it's very was interesting when you go out of limit of as a fast of MIDI, it become a noisy sound, like it's very interesting kind of for me was a thing to discover. Yeah, so here I tried to treat this organ as not like organ, because like I didn't want to use this very basic sound, and of course like with instruments it's usually extended technique, voice stuff, some object, of course, yeah, percussion, a lot different kind of object to have this toys things like this kind of things. Hanatsu Mirror, amazing ensemble, because usually I work very a lot to try to explain what I want, and here they knew this kind of sound aesthetics. They was very flexible, plastical, and we could build a really very nice the sonic because not often it was depend of the ensemble, of the openness, of the feeling of this sound, like it's very different. I have experience depending of type of ensemble and the workflow. So here I really happy how we managed to do it. Of course it's just stereo. Each channel would really make a difference, because now with some moments I hear that overlapped very like squeezed in a way. Yes, we have 10 minutes or more.
Maybe some questions also?
Yeah. I just wanna show two minutes more and then question. I like also to work in this interdisciplinary. I'm sorry for my English. I have a piece. It's old piece. It piece written right during a war and right after was presentation. It was very, I think, the most aggressive piece of mine in a way. It's for strobes, multi-channel electronics, and a dancer. So the dancing part here, I just would say a little bit more. It's a Buto dance aesthetic. It means that the person while dancing showing the most ugly part, and it's kind of this very huge tradition. We didn't want to copy or something. This dance wasn't staged. It was like we kind of talk a bit, but I wanted that it was more improvisation on a stage to a public. I didn't want to make it like more theatralic way, and more like how she feel in this moment. So I just will jump, I don't know where, onto here. Hearing also small mic. Something like that. And wanted to show you small parts what I like it's already old kind of video, but what I was doing in 2023, like this is my more popular side project. Visuals by Alex Gryvul. Yes, this is what I do. And yes. Maybe you have some question to me.
You build this masters?
No, I didn't build it. I just use a Canva design. I wish I don't have a very talent to paint stuff, so unfortunately I'm not on that side. Yes.
Who worked with video in the last case?
It's not me, it's Alex Gryvul. He using Tata Designer for that. Mostly, and we have a synchronization through click plus through audio signal. Yeah, so that's how we usually work with him. Yes?
I have a question. In the piece Alienated,
Yes.
I understand that it's because there is the dissolution of the self of the individual in the ensemble, right?
Again, please? I didn't hear.
When you use the word alienated, it's with the connotation that the dissolution of the self in the ensemble, that with this holophonic approach, I suppose. Right?
Yes, in a way, yes, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's 100 holophonic, it's my way of, like, I have a big influence of holophony, of course, but it's kind of not 100% of this.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you do it by yourself. But there was, I wanted to ask you, like, this kind of approach of creating like a timbrical synthesis, I don't know how to call it, like, it's like a technique. And how do you, I mean, I don't know if you use it like in other pieces or in other repertoire of yours, but I feel like a technique, and it's like, okay, but serves to something else, like I don't know, an aesthetics or an idea, as you said, like it shaped your color palette for, I don't know, a project in general. So I was curious, like, how do you use it? If you use it actually in more pieces or more projects or
So I think I have some favorite type of sounds in a way that can go to other pieces, but because if I use instruments, of course, I work quite limited. You know, I cannot very much with the flute. You know, create something super new. It's everything done before me. I don't feel that much a thing. It's more to electronic, and I think it's more to like I have a lot. I feel like influence from popular scene. You even hear here. So I think it's affect also music structure, also how I treat elements. But for example, in my this popular project, I have the rule that each track I should use in each track different sonic palette. I don't use any even technique which I used before, and how I do it because I teach. I showed my students what I did one to one. So after I cannot use it anymore because I so overuse it, so I cannot come back. So I need always to find something new. So that's how I not stuck in something. And with instruments it's a bit harder for me because I feel like a limitation more. But with electronics I'm very happy to look to some new things. So even you will listen some songs like they're quite different, I would say. But of course in some style of the which I like. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, I mean, like every time that you have something new, I mean,
It's important for me because I can very stuck in a field which I comfortable, and I afraid to stuck there. Yes.
I have a question. I find very interesting how you spoke about the creatures in the music, and then while listening to this alienated thing, I thought that it also frees you from this material aspect in a way that we often struggle with, or also have this heavy load of history of development. So because usually if we have this material and then there's like a purpose and we have to develop and do something with it, and here it feels like it's like the things that happen, they are like creatures and they
Interact,
kind of,
it's usually interact, yes.
and it looks or it feels a bit like then some accidents happen like between these creatures,
yes, exactly.
and then something else is, we are somewhere else, and then when finally the contrabass pizzicato comes,
yes,
this feels like something really strange, like
yeah,
very
that's
alien inside this
inside
world.
this world, yes, exactly. So this kind of stuff I also wanted because it's the disability to understanding an emotion and also to not hear a sound and understanding what is a sound, somebody speak to you and you kind of in this universe. So this kind of middle part for me was like this desire to understand, and it's kind of trying to be closer to this normal stuff, but it's kind of still feel not that much. But yes, with this sound creature it's really for me interesting then to compose because you kind of build a huge universe and really you have soft power like a god, you can really change the sound, develop, make it something another. This sound you can just cut in the beginning or something, and this kind of all of relationship, how they will bump to each other, especially in the movement and stuff. It's very for me fun to do because for me it's important when I compose to have a fun with music, like to have this nice feeling when I make music. I don't want to struggle or suffer. I don't want to, even I make this kind of stuff, I just suffer to make a score. This is, it's very painful, which I hate project. Since childhood I always hate the scores, but yes, even play, I didn't like to play, was improvising but not play through the score. So basically it is very painful part, but everything else I really like to do. Like I don't feel because I have a concept of life, I wanna feel like live happy and do stuff which I love, not suffer. So I kind of try to reduce stuff which I suffering, so I just keep things or try to find why I suffer or why it's like that and try to understand this process. So yeah, I think, but my music not very happy, but I mean it's don't need to be connected. Yeah.
Yes, I'm curious because when you were speaking about holophony, you mentioned that one of the important things is avoid this hierarchy of melodic and harmonic.
Which I use.
I'm curious, how do you think on that in your work? Is you try to use it like one more element in the holophonic concept, or still have some kind of protagonism or structural function?
No, for me it's more like kind of a quote of something. I'm more like I don't like to base on that, but I usually it's more conceptually related in a way for me. And what I realized, I like this contrast in a piece, to have suddenly this harmonic part which you never expect in this kind of piece, and you kind of like this contrast make for me very interesting emotional feeling, at least of myself when I listen or when I creating like so that's why I start to use it more. Before I I was like, no, no. But yes, so that's why I wouldn't say it's holophonic 100 something. But I really feel like it fits, at least in my taste there, in a way. Yes. Oh, yes.
I have a question if it's still.
Yeah, we can. 1 minute more.
Also, in the definition of the holophonic, there was one time you mentioned ASMR. Did I understand it right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
which stands out to me because I only know ASMR as like this weird internet trend that was emerging in 2016, and it always kind of in your music, this aesthetic always stuck
you know
out
why
to me.
it's actually very, you even not understand how it's already you into it. For example, Billie Eilish phenomenon, why she become popular, because first of all she was in the spirit of ASMR, and her voice, it's super close to us, like how we listen in headphones, and psychologically how it works. The mix completely different, because whom you let to breathe on your ear? Stranger? No, but she does. So the thing is, unconsciously you become much more closer to her, even not realizing that. So throughout the musicians, right, or the same singer woman and so on, you kind of feel her closer to yourself because of that. Because your psychology merge, like she our friend, we trust her because she close to us, kind of a thing. So basically it's affect a lot, and the same this kind of a texture of a sound close, because usually of course we amplified instrument, we were using object, but it never goes to the mass of people. Now ASMR, she just use a mic and do some things with the sound, and people listen it, so they actually more open to this kind of music because of that. So audience already kind of more trained and more open to the stuff, which pop industry, a lot of this ASMR thing, like we can tell object, right, sonic palette of something. So I think here as well, because it's very object based in a way, you hear this so I feel very closest relation with, because like nowadays already with ASMR, I would say.
Yeah, it just thought like the term itself is so heavily, especially in pop culture, so
but
heavily
it is,
biased, I think.
But
it doesn't do it justice, because it's also a misrepresentation of what it actually can achieve.
yeah, but I mean ASMR, it's a big movement. I mean, like it's really huge thing. In that's why we cannot like avoid or telling like it's a huge thing, like in, I would say, as another direction of stuff which suddenly become popular not because of musicians, but like it's very a weird way how it's appeared, and yes, but I don't know. Okay, thank you very much.